Welcome to The Valley's Voice, Arizona Live's Legal Truths.
Hello and welcome to The Valley's Voice, Arizona Live's Legal Truths with Travis Meltzer, founding and managing attorney at Valley Injury Law. I'm your host, Evan Mack. As a practicing attorney in both Arizona and Nevada, Travis leverages his defense experience to advocate for individuals injured due to others' negligence. His firm chooses quality over quantity, ensuring the client receives the dedicated support they need throughout their case. This is mistakes that can kill your case before you even call a lawyer. Travis, how you doing?
I'm good, Evan. How you doing today?
Good. Let's talk mistakes. What's the number one thing people do after an accident that could potentially hurt their case?
Yeah, not calling 911, not calling the police, thinking it's just a minor accident. We don't need to call the police, because ultimately what ends up happening is there's no report, there's no proof, there's no version of the stories that happened at the accident at all. So ultimately the insurance company of the other person is just going to believe they're insured, the other driver that hit you. So ultimately call the police, even if you think it's a minor accident. Let them tell you they won't come, but let them at least create a record of the accident so so you have something to submit to an attorney or to the insurance company to show that hopefully at least, that the police agree with you and put the other person at fault. So always call the police just to make sure that you create a record of the accident.
So why is posting on social media such a risk after an injury? I know posting on social media in general could be an issue for a lot of people. But in this regard, how can a social media like hurt you or put you at risk after an injury?
No, I mean, it's one of those things where you overshare. It's unfortunately, and I think me and you, Evan, we're probably about the same age. It's just our generation loves to overshare our lives, and that includes the highs and lows, and that will include an accident. The issues that you'll run into, and more so your attorney will run into, is we are trying to say that you are hurt in an accident, whatever that might be, back, neck, shoulder, whatever it might be. And then if you go next day posting the party at the river or you jumping into a pool, it's going to kill your case. It's going to kill it. I send, as part of our intake process, we include a letter that says, do not post. Do not post, and here's why. It's because the insurance company will Google you. That's what the adjuster will do. They will gather information on you. And if you have a picture of you doing something, albeit fun, will kill your case, because if we're sitting there arguing that your neck or back hurts, and then there's a picture of you doing a front flip into the pool, odds are it would be very difficult for me to convince, let alone anyone, that you're hurt. So just stay off social media. Don't describe the accident to anyone on social media, because everything on social media is searchable. No matter how private you think it is, anybody could still take a look. And insurance companies have those tools. I mean, they are just big banks of money, so they will use that money to make sure that they will diminish your claim as much as possible. So stay off social media with your accidents. Just stay off of it.
Do you have any cases off the top of your head where that kind of undermine the case that you were building or trying to help somebody out?
Yeah. So honestly, the one that comes to mind for me is actually when I was a defense attorney, when I used it to my advantage, unfortunately,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I used, I had a private investigator follow someone, also look at their, social media posts. If there was a fight at a party, point is they were posting how much fun the party was, how great it was, how this one kid ended up leaving drunk and this, and it was just one of those things that it was I ended up having to depose about 7 16-year-olds to talk about everything that they posted on social media, and it just destroyed this poor kid's case. And I'll be honest with you, the kid was hurt. He was hurt, but it was very unfortunate, but it made my job at that point as a defense attorney very easy to say, look, yes, I understand you were hurt, but then next day you're high-fiving your friends, how cool that fight was and how this and that. And so it's just one of those things where it sounds easy, but I get it. In today's world, our reaction is to, like, even when you're eating food, your reaction is to take a picture of it. Your first instinct, instead of eat it, is to take a picture of it. So it's hard to get people out of that. But yeah, it's Just got to constantly remind clients.
Incredible stuff. A lot of people want to be polite or cooperative, but what should they avoid saying to an insurance adjuster, since we were kind of talking about the insurance and how they kind of operate? What should they avoid saying to them when they're trying to file a claim?
Yeah, so the number one thing is, well, one, obviously don't admit fault. Never say it's your fault, even if you think it is. Never admit it. Say you don't know or you're not sure. But really, a recorded statement. The other insurance company is going to ask you for a recorded statement. Do not do it. Ask for a written statement. You have no obligation. People have no obligation to do it, because what they're going to end up doing is, if they get a recorded statement, and I had a case very similar where somebody gave a recorded statement before, you have no protection. You think they are there to help you. And that's what that adjuster is going to say. Hey, we're just looking for the facts. We just want to figure out what's going on. They will ask you very specific questions and try to make it your fault and get you to trip up. And now they have a record of some kind of statement, whatever it might be. So when you decide you make the right decision to get an attorney, I will then have to take a look at this statement and, one, pray it's not bad, but also then assume your statement stays consistent. Because if there's ever an inconsistency, then that's another issue down the road, because then they'll call you a liar or this, or you're inflating. So really keep your mouth shut is probably the nicest way to put it. And if anything, if you really, really want to talk to them, ask for the questions in writing. Ask for them in writing, because then you can have somebody review it. You're not caught off guard by the questions. And they'll do it. I mean, that's one of the things that a lot of people don't understand, that they have to say yes to the other person's insurance company. You don't. You have no obligation to them at all. So just keep your story to yourself and give an attorney a call. Don't talk to the insurance company.
Why can delaying medical treatment or seeing a doctor, why can that weaken your case?
Yeah, so what it'll end up doing is it'll actually diminish your injuries. So the moment, because ultimately my job as your attorney or as a client's attorney is to, one, prove that those injuries came from the accident. If you sit there and wait a week, I mean, even a couple days is fine. That's normal. People, you have adrenaline rush after an accident. You don't feel anything, but then you wake up in the morning. I always compare it to the gym. You're never sore the day of you work out. You're sore the next day. So give it a day. If you're not hurt that day, that's fine. But when you're talking about a couple, 5, 7 days, weeks, because then what will end up happening is then it's even more difficult for me to prove that the injuries that we are now claiming were caused by the accident. So if there's a 2-week gap from the accident when you started treatment, it's very hard for me to say, oh yeah, all that, she went to the doctor because she was so hurt from the accident. And the first question will always be, then why'd she wait so long? And so ultimately, just get checked out. I think it's one of those things where people, and I'm guilty of it as well, and Evan, I'm sure you have a story as well. It's like, hey, I'm fine. I don't need to go to the doctor. I feel great.
Yep.
I'll sit at home. I'll heal. It's all good. Just get checked out. Worst case, you're fine. Like, it's really just worst case, you're right. But also, you have a doctor, give him or her opinion on what was going on. And if you decide to pursue a case or insurance claim, you have that foundation of future care. And if you really are hurt, it's very easy to continue care if you went and got treatment fairly right away within the first couple days after the accident.
So the wait and see approach, it can hurt you, but is there ever like an instance where if you're healed, even though you were in an accident and you were hurt and you did that wait and see, is I'm sure it's harder to prove, but can you win a case like that?
So you can, but it is hard. It's one of those things where I'm sure people are going to love hearing an attorney complain about how hard my job is, but try really hard to not make my job harder, because ultimately what I'm trying to do is just be a representative for this person. Yeah. I get the wait and see method. Like I said, it's totally normal to be like, not a big deal. I'm fine. Then you go to work, you go to your normal job and you try to lift something, and then all of a sudden you seize up and something's wrong. Now the insurance company is going to say it's because you picked up that box. It has nothing to do with the accident. So it's really important to create a record of not only care, but the injury itself.
Could you debunk any misconceptions about hiring a lawyer too soon?
Yeah. So the big one, I think anyway, when it comes to personal injury, is that or personal injury attorneys, including myself, are just, in tandem with these doctors. We are best friends with these doctors. All we do is send them to our friends, and they just they make up these fake bills and records, and there's this whole scam that's not even remotely close to what I do. All I do is once you sign up with me, and it's best to do it early, is I can point you to a doctor in your area. Now, obviously, there are doctors that understand personal injury, and what that means is taking notes appropriately and really notating progress and kind of base levels of pain and things like that. But I can point you in the right direction of doctors that are in your area, and they understand personal injury, so they can best describe and I guess summarize your injuries and care throughout the recovery process. If you don't get an attorney early, there could be there could be issues with the doctors that you decide to go to, or with the care that's recommended. Sometimes if you have a car accident where you go to the hospital, this happens all the time. You go to the hospital after a car accident, the ER is the ER. They are dealing with significant issues all day. Your rear end accident, albeit painful and frustrating and disappointing in your life, they're dealing with the guy that cut his arm chopping down a tree. So they will say, oh, sign off, just follow up with your doctor in the next 6 weeks. That little line sometimes will hurt it. So what I always say is, even that the ER will say, hey, here's, take Advil, take Tylenol, you'll be fine. Still follow up with your primary doctor, because your primary doctor knows you. They know your baseline. They know exactly where you normally are. So really what it comes down to is, again, I'll preach it till I red or blue in the face. It's just create a record of your care and your pain, because that medical records is eventually what the insurance company or a judge or jury might decide what your case is worth.
We talked about a few of these faux pas and mistakes that people make. If someone has made them already, is it too late to fix? Is there like, a statute that you would be like, okay, we can't, that's a little much,
Yeah. So I'll give you the crappiest lawyer answer. It depends. It really depends on how bad that mistake was. Now, if you got out of the car and was like, sorry, totally my fault, my bad, it could be enough. I actually have a case now that the woman, my client, ended up getting hit by a vehicle. She was in her own car. She told the other car to just leave before the police said, oh, it's fine, you can leave, all good. Now we don't have any identification of this car that hit her. We're trying to now claim against her own insurance, and her own insurance is like, wait a second, she said it was fine, she let them leave, so we're not going to cover it either.
Wow.
So it's one of those things, it's just let it play out. I know it's unfortunate, but nice people are going to be nice in stressful situations, and they'll be like, oh, I'm so sorry, or excuse me, I didn't even see you there. So it's more just keep it to yourself, because while the person that hit you, or you may have come into contact with, or they may seem like very apologetic and nice, just when it comes down to it, it's one of those things, it's not personal, it's business when it comes to that statement, where it's like, hey, look, I like you, Evan, but you hit me, I'm not going to say anything to you. That's just what it comes down to. So it's just really just keep to yourself, call a friend or family if you really need to vent. But ultimately what it comes down to is keep it to yourself. Don't say anything to the other person. Call the police and get an attorney.
And finally, before we wrap things up, what's your favorite thing about what you do? Since you switch sides, you know what I mean? You've been on both sides, and now you're on this side. What's your favorite thing about what you do?
Yeah. So for me, the best way I could put it is being an attorney and being a personal injury attorney was the best way I could help other people. I don't have a lawyer in my family. I joke, I worked my butt off to get into law school. I got into one law school and then getting rejected by 9-10 other law schools. And then I came back to Nevada, passed the bar there, and then Arizona. And so I just really wanted to help people, and seeing it, especially on the other side, when your job as a defense attorney is to diminish other people's injuries and claims. And I hated it. I didn't feel good about what I did. I mean, it just wasn't something that I could see myself doing and honestly being proud of, unfortunately. So for me, minus the stereotypes and things like that, which I hope to debunk eventually, but I really enjoy just helping people and understanding that, well, yes, am doing this. I'm very fortunate to be in the position that I am, but I hope that I can use this position to really help people that clearly need it and that are simply going to get berated by somebody who used to be me on the defense side. So it just really, it allows for me to use what I'm good at to help people. And that's because I'm not good at math. I went to law school. So that's kind of where we're at.
You and me both, brother. Math is something. Thank you so much for taking the time, brother. I appreciate the story.
Yeah, thanks.
And we also hope that you all enjoyed today's episode as well of the Valley Voice. They have helped clarify what personal injury law actually covers. Now, for more information, you can contact Travis at azvalleyinjurylaw.com. Like, subscribe, leave that review, and you get amazing information. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.